so that we're gonna have the verifications for different parts. So let us do it. So first of all, before we go to the code to design that part, so we need to look for this authentication system flow. So the client, that is the front end here, will register. So through registration, so we'll go to the view, then the view will go to the auth services, that is register service. Then we're gonna create, then we're gonna queue the verification. So this one gonna communicate with the email verification. So the email verification service, we're gonna send the verification email and verify. Then this is gonna interact with the token verifier. Then token verifier will have verify token, URL, save tokens, UID decoding. Then also the same will also communicate with the cache. Then also the email verification gonna communicate with the database. Then token verifier database. So as you can see here, we will have also the email service. This is where we're gonna send the email verification. Now we need to work on this part. We're gonna design these parts. Okay, we're gonna have a new folder named verification. So we'll have different files here. So we'll have, as usual, we're gonna have the init.py. We're gonna have the emails.py, services.py, and new file we're gonna have views.py. Then tokens.py. So these are the files that we'll be working on. So we will start with the service, that one we were talking about. So this will be the email verification service. So the email verification service, so this one will act as a service layer, so orchestrating the verification and password reset processes. So obviously it will contain the core business logic. So what will happen here is that in the email verification service, we'll have the get verification cache key, that one we gave on the registration. So provides a standardized way to generate cache keys for user verification status, so ensuring consistency. Then we're gonna have the send verification email, checks if the user is already verified, then implements rate limiting using the Django's cache to prevent users from requesting too many verification emails in a short period. So then it will send the verification email in the background, in a background thread. So threading, that's why you're gonna use threading.thread by calling send verification email background. So this is crucial for responsiveness, as sending an email can be slow and shouldn't block the user's request. So we'll have other methods that we'll work on here. So let us start by defining the imports that we're gonna use. So we're gonna import logging. We're gonna import logging. We're gonna import threading for threading. Gonna import traceback. Then from from Django.core.cache import cache from Django.contrib.auth import get user model. Then from Django.contrib.auth.password validation import validate password. Then from Django.core.exceptions import validation error. Then we're gonna have so here we're gonna get user. So user will be get user model. This one will get the user model. Then we're gonna have the logger for logging dot get logger with that name. So we're gonna have the class email. Okay, email verification service. We must start with the documentation string. It's a good habit. So service class to handle email verification operations. So this one will handle all the operations that involve email verification. So we'll start defining by defining a static method, that is def. We want to get verification cache key. I will explain why. User ID. Then after that, this one will do what? Get standardized cache key for user verification status. This one we get the status of the user verification. So return f user verified status user ID. Then the next method that we're gonna define here is we're gonna define send verification email to that user. Okay, so here we want to define a documentation string. So we're gonna send verification email to user. So arguments will be user. We need only user, so user object. Then it will return, so returns tuple success response dictionary and status code. So what we'll do here, we're gonna try to see if the user is verified. Try if user dot is verified, so return true, user is verified. Then success it is true. Then message email is already verified. Okay, then with a response code of 200. So if not verified, so we're gonna do rate key. We're gonna define rate limiting per user. Okay, so rate key will be verification email, then user.id. Then if cache.get rate key, so we get timeout remaining obviously in seconds. So we're gonna get in seconds. Then timeout value is equals to 300. That is 300 seconds. That is around 1 minute, 5 minutes. I mean, so false. So success will be false when the user hits the limit. So error will be please wait before requesting another verification email. So retry after timeout value. So retry after 5 minutes. Then status code 429. So after that, we need to queue. Verification email. We need to queue verification email to be sent in background. So we're gonna try. So we're gonna queue verification email to be sent in background. Okay, so we're gonna use threading dot thread. So we're gonna have the thread has this. As you can see, this constructor should always be called with a keyword arguments. Arguments are group should be none, reserved, So we have the target. This is the callable object to be invoked by the run. But the run method defaults to none, meaning nothing is. So the name is the thread name by default. A unique name is constructed of the thread n, where n is a small decimal number. Then we have the arguments. Is a list or type of arguments for target invocation, and yeah, if that is what the thread is doing. So we're gonna have the target is equals to email verification service dot send. We're gonna have send verification email background. We're gonna define this one. We don't have it now. Then arguments is equals to user.id daemon is equals to true. Then dot start. This will start. Yeah, so at obvious it's a static method. So def send verification email background, where we're gonna accept user ID. So user ID will be passed here. So we're gonna background method for sending verification emails. Okay, so arguments. So args will be, we're gonna accept only user ID. That is user ID. So here, what we'll do here is that we're gonna forward to the existing we need to forward to email service. We will have email service to forward to email service. So here gonna try. The reason we use try, it's because that code can lead up to an error and we need to catch them, so to not to fail when there's an error. So this helps to handle them. So that's why we try, where we know something can, if there will be an error or an exception. So queue verification email with retry. So email, gonna have email service dot send verification email with retry. So user ID to have 3 retries. So then logger dot info. So background verification verification email queued for user ID. So exception as E if there is an error, so we log dot error failed to send background verification email, then to be a string, converted to string, and then we log again error for easier tracing, traceback dot format exception. So we have the email service. Now we need to define email service. So we'll come here in the emails.py. This is where we're gonna define our email service for sending emails. So import login, then import traceback. We're gonna import time, we're gonna import random, then import string, then from Django.config import settings, from Django.core.mail import send mail. This is for sending email. Then from Django.template gonna import loader, import render to string. Then from Django.utils.http import your safe base64 and code. Then from there, from Django.utils.encoding, we're gonna import force what? Import force utils.encoding enforce bytes. Yeah, so force bytes. Then from Django.contrib.auth.tokens, gonna import default token generator. Then from Django.contrib.auth import get user model. Then we're gonna define user here. User, we're gonna get user model. This will get the user model. As usual, we're gonna have the logger. So login dot get logger with a name. Yeah. So after that, we're gonna define class email service. So email service, so this one will service for sending user verification, yeah, verification emails. So this is for sending email verifications, those emails. So what we'll start with add static method. So we're gonna start by defining what do we want. We want this. We want to send verification email with retry. Send verification email with retry. So user ID max attempts will be 3 by default, be 3. Then what we'll do, we try to, so first of all, get user by ID. So try, so user is equals to, so user dot objects dot get ID is equals to user ID, the ID, that one we pass there. Then except user does not exist. If user does not exist, we're gonna log here error string background verification email. So user ID of that user ID not found. So we're gonna return. If user exists, now we need to check if user, the email is verified. So check if already verified. So if user dot is verified, if it is true, we're gonna logger dot info background verification so of that user we're gonna get user dot email already verified, then return. So what we'll do here, if not verified, we're gonna make multiple attempts with backoff. For attempt in range, so this one will define range from 1 to max attempts, that is 3 plus 1. So what we do here in the attempts, so we're gonna try success to send email verification. So we need to define this one, email send verification email to that user. So we need to define that method. So we'll come here on top, and we define our static method. We're gonna define our send verification email. So we're gonna define send verification email to the user. So this user, we're gonna send them this email. So send verification email to user with both link and code. So arguments, will be user object, then it will return, so returns what? Return a bool. So this bool will be success status. Okay, so here we're gonna try to generate verification token for link. So here we're gonna get UID. So to get UID, we're gonna use URL safe encode with force bytes user.pk, that is primary key. Then we're gonna get token. This token we're gonna default token generator. Make this token, it is not equal to the tokens that for refresh. This is for that will be used for one time and expires after. So we're gonna create verification link. So verify URL is equals to string. So we're gonna have settings dot, so we have front end URL / we're gonna go through auth email verify, then UID is equals to the UID, the one we have set there up, and we're gonna have end token, and token is equals to the token we have defined there. Okay, so then we need to compose the email. So compose email. So here to compose email, we need to have subject is equals to string. We need to have the app name, settings dot app name. This one we're gonna define them in the settings.py. So verify your email address. This, then we're gonna have template, context. So we have context is equals to, so we have user, then verify URL be the one we have defined, then app name, you can put anything you want here, settings dot app name, then code expiry. This will be, let us say 1 hour. So this one matches the one that we have defined in the cashier expiry time. So what we'll do, we need to pass. We need first to try, because we try. So HTML message. So we need to render it. So HTML message, we need to define that variable, render to string. So this one emails, then verify email dot HTML. So after that, then we pass the context, the one that we defined the app. From there, just in case that fails, we need to have a fallback. So we need to have a plain text fallback to create a simple text version. Okay, so plain message is equals to hello. We need to pass it here, hello user dot email, comma, please, we are telling the user, please verify your email address by clicking the link below. So we give the link here, verify URL, the one that you did there. Then we tell thank you. Then with our settings dot app name team, we need to tell them it is a certain team. So then we close. So just in case it fails, to do that, exception, maybe it fails to as template error, we need to fall back. So fall back to plain text email if template rendering fails. Okay, this is to make our system more robust. So template rendering error. Template error. Then HTML message will be none. Then plain message. Hello user dot email. Please verify your email address by clicking the link below. So this is just a repetition for above. So thank you. It is just a fallback. We want to make sure it's robust. Then we have settings dot app name team. Okay, so first of all, we need also now to make sure to verify SMTP settings before sending. Okay, so we need to verify SMTP settings before sending them. So what we'll do here, we're gonna try. So we're gonna check here. We're gonna check if email host user and email host password are set. So if not, settings dot email host user or not settings dot email host password. What we'll do, just these settings, not setting, this settings. So what we'll do here, we're gonna logger dot error email credentials not configured properly in settings. Then we're gonna return false. Then so from email, if they are set, settings dot, now we're gonna use default from email or settings dot email host user. So what we'll do here, we define now the send email using the Django. Send email. Subject, we have defined our subject. Message will be a plain message, plain text version. Then from email we're gonna say from email, that one here. Then we're gonna have recipient list will be user dot email. Okay, it is a list. So after that, HTML message will be HTML message. Then fail silently will be false. Okay, so after that, what will happen? We're gonna log dot info verification email sent to user dot email. Okay, then we return true after sending the email, except if there was an exception, send error. If it failed to send, we're gonna log dot error f, so smtp error sending verification email. Then we're gonna get the error, we convert it to string. So we're gonna say send error. From that point, we're gonna log the error so that it's easier for us to trace. This is for developer. Format exec, yeah. Then you return false. So if it fails, if there was another error, exception as E, this one should be for the overall, so it should be there, should be back, one tab back. So logger dot error f error in verification email preparation. So string E. Then logger dot error traceback dot format exec, then return false. So after doing that, we're gonna go back here. Before we do that, because we have this part, we need to define these things for settings. So in our settings, so come in our settings.py. So there are some things we need to add. We need to add our email verification timeout. These things we're gonna add them. Let us so email, what we do, we define them. Email verification timeout is equals to that 600 multiplied by 24 multiplied by 3 days. So it will be a 3 days verification link. After that, we need mobile, because we do verification. We're gonna do verification redirect to true. This is to enable mobile app redirection for verification. So after that, we need to add here, we need to add require email verification, require email verification. This helps when you want to change them. You don't need to look where they are, just need to use the. So this one, whether to require email verification to use the app. Then after that, what we need to have, we just need the app name. We don't have the app name currently. App name, we're gonna call it stylish. Yeah, it's a string, so we call it stylish. So using the name stylish, what we need to add next, it's all about email. So setting up our email, we're gonna be using use our emails. We need to set up our email here, email settings. So let us put email settings. So we'll be using Gmail, Google Mail, SMTP. So at this point now, because we are setting the Gmail, what we'll do is that we need to define the email. So we have these things, email backend, because we'll be using Gmail. So django.mail.backends.smtp.email backend. We'll be using Gmail, so that's why we have SMTP backend, email backend. This is a caps lock, capital letter. Now we have that one. Then email host is equals to smtp.gmail.com. so email port is equals to 587. Then email I use TLS is equals to true. Then email host user. So here we're gonna introduce something else. So because you are working with sensitive data, we're gonna use a package that is decouple. So decouple will use config. So we're gonna define them in email host user. That one we're gonna define in the env file. So then email host password is equals to config, gonna use email host password. We're gonna define these ones in the backend. In the default from email is equals to, let us define stylish no reply at your app.com. So this one you can have it. Then contact email is equals to, can have it support at stylish.com. So after doing that, what we need here to import it is from decouple. So from decouple import config. So I think we don't have decouple. I think we have not installed decouple. So to install python-decouple, I use pip install python-decouple. As you can see, we have installed it. So when you come here, so you see the error disappears. So after doing that, we need now to define our .env that will be outside here in the main project. Gonna have .env. This is where we're gonna define our environment variables. So here we need to define the email configuration. So email host user, like for me I will use mine. So mine it is Kihara General at gmail.com. So here it is comment, we have email configuration. So we have defined that, and also we're gonna define email host password, which will be, so this password we're gonna go to your account, your Gmail account. So when you go to your Gmail account, there's this part for managing your Google account. So what we need from this point, it is our app. You're gonna come here and search app passwords. So here you'll get these app passwords. So when you get it, you will see your app passwords. You're gonna create a new one. So let us create stylish. When you create, you'll get this. So this one is the one that we're gonna use as a password. So copy it, you come and paste it here. So that is the app password that we're gonna use here. So after that, what we'll do, because we have touched about this part of environment variables, we're gonna define our secret key here so that we're gonna handle them well. Secret key, we're gonna define them here. Then debug this one we can set it to true because we're working on whatever. Then allowed host will be localhost 127.0.0.1, then 192.168.0.105. So after that, so we can define our app name here, but first of all it can stay like that. So we come here in the settings.py, we're gonna remove this secret key from here. So Control X, then you take it to .env here. Okay, then in here what we'll do, we're gonna now use the config. So what we'll do here, we'll have config we bring the secret key, then debug is equals to config debug default will be false, then cast it to bool, and you get it from there. Then allowed host you're gonna use the one in the config allowed host, then default will be all, currently, then cast lambda v, then we give it s.strip. We want to separate them where for s in v dot split in comma, where there's comma. So we remove these ones. So after doing that, so this is false. So after we have set up everything, now we need to continue with this part for emails.py. So where we left here. So if success, if it is true, we're gonna log info background verification email sent to user.email on attempt, then we want to know after how long, then we're gonna return. Else we're gonna log out the error the error that have occurred during sending. So failed to send verification email on attempt. We're gonna get the attempt. So just in case if that try fails, so we need to accept exception as E. So this one should be aligned with the our try here. So we should move back one tab there. Then we're gonna log the error. So error in background verification email attempt. So we're gonna have the error. We want to know what type of error has occurred. So if that succeeds, we're gonna get exponential back off. We need a exponential back off between attempts. Okay, there is something that we have not done here. We have not closed here, so we have the error. Okay, if attempt is less than max attempts, we're gonna time dot. If it's still, we need to back off, so multiply by attempt. Okay, so after that, if the attempt fails, we're gonna logger dot error. So we're gonna say failed to send verification email after those attempts. Okay, max attempts. Okay, so if that fails to send that, we're gonna accept exception as E. So that one should be there. So we're gonna logger dot error background verification email critical error string E. Yeah, we're gonna get the string of that logger. So then we need to be able to locate traceback dot format exec format that exception. So after doing that, we're gonna go back to services.py, so that we're gonna continue. So here we're gonna import our email service. So we come here up here, we're gonna import that from dot emails import email service. So we import that one. Now we continue Now we continue with the send verification email background. So okay, that one we finished. So yeah, we finished that. So we're gonna go back here so that we're gonna continue with the send verification email. Okay, so to send verification email, we left at this point for thread. So what we'll do here, we need to set rate limiting regardless of background thread success. Okay, so what we'll do here, we're gonna cache dot set, so rate key true, timeout will be 300 seconds, that is equivalent to 5 minutes. So logger dot info verification email queued for that user email. So return true, then we're gonna have success. This means that email was sent. True, message verification email sent successfully, please check your inbox. Okay, so then the response status code will be 200. So if that fails, so we need the exception as thread. We need to know the error. So I hope this one it is aligned with our try. Okay, yeah. So after that, we're gonna log the error. So here we failed to queue verification email thread. Okay, so it simply means it failed. So a string of that thread error. So after that, we're gonna return. So because it will fail here, we're gonna return false. Then our dictionary will be success, it is false. Then error will be failed to send verification email, please try again later. So then we give the status code will be 500. So, and if that fails, except maybe we have the exception that we have not catched as E. So what will happen here, must make sure we look it is in the try this the main. So we need to go back here. So come back here, make sure it is there with the first try. So after that, we're gonna log if that our try failed, we're gonna get the error. So here we say send verification email error. So we need to know the error. So string, we're gonna convert it to string. Then we're gonna return false. Then our dictionary will be success, will be false. Then the error is now for the user. The response that we're gonna give the user: failed to send verification email, please try again later. So, and the status code will be 400. Okay, so that is what we have done. So far so good. So we need to go back to our services where we are handling the forward email verification service for sending email. So we need to import that from, okay, so where we left this part, we left here try. So send email forward to, so we need to import that. In the start of the method, we're gonna import from authentication dot, we have verification, then we have services, gonna import email verification service. So after we import that, this is where now we're gonna start working on it. So after we saved user, now we need forward email verification service for sending email. So we're gonna have email verification service dot send in the background. So we're gonna get for that user dot id. So we're gonna log the information dot info queued verification email for user. So user dot email. So we're gonna know the user. If it fails, as usual, we must have exception as thread error. As you saw, we used thread. So if it fails, it simply means it didn't send. So we're gonna log, but don't fail registration. Okay, we need to continue the registration if email queuing fails. Okay, so logger dot error. So we need to failed to queue verification, but so user can get the email verification later. So after that, if it fails to get the email for verification, or if it gets, we need to serialize now the data. Serialize user data. Serializer, we're gonna have a variable named serializer. Serializer. So user is equals to user serializer of that user, the user that has sent the data. Then we need to generate token. generate tokens. So tokens, we're gonna get the tokens we're gonna get from token manager dot generate. This one we covered earlier, so if you have not looked, you can check it from the previous sessions. So log successful registration. So when you reach here, we have successfully registered. So registration successful for user, for that user, that is user.email. Okay, so from there we give we return. So what we are returning, so return successful response data. So return true, then success will be true, then the data that will be sent will be, now we need to use the serializer data. So user serializer.data, this one will give the data, then we're gonna give tokens. This is what the user gonna receive. So tokens, then is new user, yes, so true, yeah. Then we're gonna check, we're gonna give if they are verified or not. So here we're gonna say email verified, user dot is verified. Okay, so from that point what we'll get, it is 201 as status code, meaning the user was created. Failure to that, if that fails, accept exception as E. So this is for this try, for the first try, this one, check, yeah, to register. So if it fails, we're gonna log dot error. So the error will be registration error. Okay, where we have the string E, yeah, for that error. Then we're gonna return false. So when we return false, then success will be false, success will be false, then error will be registration failed, please try again. So with the response status of 400. So that is the part 4, the service for authentication service to register. So we need to go back to the views. So in the views, we are doing registration. So here we're gonna use, as we left here, use service layer for registration. Now we want success. This is based on from the response we're gonna get from the service. So response data status code. So the reason why we are doing that, as you can see here, we are returning a tuple with the success response and status code. And when you look at this response here, it is either we're gonna return success, that is true, then we have the response data, that one dictionary, then the code here. So that's why we are writing it here instead of writing one by one. We need to, it's a way to write it. So authentication service dot register. So in this register, we're gonna pass the email we get from email. Password will be the password we get. Then phone number is equals to phone number. Then we have full name is equals to full name. Then request meta request dot meta. So someone might be asking, why do we have the documentation string? So it helps when you hover above this, you see we have the handle, whatever you wrote here. So when you check here, you're gonna see what you are seeing there. This one, it is what you get when you hover above this part, okay? And also this one. So for someone who is not understanding, why do we have the documentation string? So it helps like service class to handle authentication. So there's that part. So what we need to do here, after we use the service, we need to create now the response object. So response is equals to response. So the response, we're gonna pass our standardized response, so which will have the response data. Then we're gonna have the status code. Status will be our status code, that is from here, this part. So someone who is not familiar with this part of standardized response, we created this one here in the core folder. So here is the core folder, we have the response.py. so this is what we did for someone who has not yet come to this place. So but I hope everybody is following in that order. So after that, after we have created the response object, we need now to set refresh token cookie if registration was successful and cookie security it's enabled. Okay, so here we're gonna set refresh token cookie if registration was successful and cookie security is enabled. Okay, so if success, this is where now we're gonna use our success if it is true, and status code, it is in between 200 and 201. So success and settings.jwt cookie secure. So if you go to settings.py, let us come here in the settings.py to see we need to check the setting, the JWT cookie secure. So we'll come here, cookie, have we defined that? Have we? Yeah. So here we have set it to false because we are in the localhost, so we are testing. So in production you need to change this to true. So let us come back here again. So if it is set, so we're gonna say tokens. We're gonna define a variable. Tokens is equals to response data dot get data. We're gonna get the data, and put it in that dictionary dot get tokens. Then we're gonna put it also in dictionary. So if we're gonna get refresh token in tokens and refresh expires in what is going on? Expires in tokens. If it does that, we're gonna have the response dot set cookie. So set cookie, so key is equals to, so you might want to check what is set cookie. So expires can be a string in the correct format, a naive datetime object in UTC, and aware datetime. So this one comes from the response object. So after that we're gonna use settings.jwt cookie name. So this one we have defined here in the settings.py. Let's check it. We have the cookie name there. So we have set it to refresh token. So let us come here again. Let us continue. So key, then we need value. Value will be tokens. Refresh token. Then expires time zone. We imported that one up there. Time zone dot now plus time delta. So we need seconds, which will be tokens of that refresh expires in. So then we need secure will be true. Then what else? Then HTTP only, we're gonna set it to true. Then same site will be strict. Then path the root. Then domain, we're gonna have settings dot session cookie. We need to set this one. We need to set it. So we need to come to the settings.py. We have not yet set this one, so we're gonna have it here. Session, let us copy it. Control C. Session. So this one. So what we'll do here. So what is session cookie domain? So this one, the session cookie domain, it defines which domain the session and JWT cookies will be valid for. So it's a security mechanism that controls cookie scope across domains and subdomains. So the reason it is required, it is for security. So this one prevents cookies from being accessible to other domains, reducing the risk of cookie theft attacks. So cross subdomain authentication, so it allows you to share authentication across multiple subdomains of your application, e.g. maybe .app, maybe app.example.com, maybe API, etc, etc. Then JWT cookie integrity. Your code uses it when setting JWT refresh tokens in cookies, which is why it's appearing in this part of the views. So what happens here is that we're gonna define, so here in production you need to have your, let us use your domain.com. so one thing you should note, so note the leading dot for subdomain subdomain support. So but for development, which we are doing now, for development we're gonna, if debug it is true, gonna set session cookie domain to none, or 127.0.0.1 for local development. So that is our session cookie domain. So let us come back to our views, and before we continue, someone might be asking, okay, why do we have the session cookie? Storing the refresh token in an HTTP, this part, and also this one, this part, these three, HTTP only, secure, when set to true, then same site strict cookie. This is a common security practice, so it makes the refresh token less vulnerable to theft via cross-site scripting, I think XSS, that attack, so compared to storing it in local storage. So the access token, which is short-lived, is typically sent to authorization header. So that's why we only have the refresh token here. So after that, what we'll do, we need now to set the CSRF token, which will be after, we need the if success. After if success, the first if success, we need, as you look here, it should be here. Okay, if success, we need to get token request. So the request we're gonna get from the request, then we're gonna return. After we get the token, we're gonna return response. If it fails, we need to show an error and get the error exception as E. I think it should be, yeah, in that try. Okay, it is good. Then logger.error. So registration error string e. So after that we need to log so that we can be able to trace error, trace back dot format exec, then return response standardized response, where we give success is equals to false, it has failed. Then error will be registration failed, please try again. Then status is equals to status dot, so we're gonna use HTTP 400 bad request. So that marks the end of our views for register. We have an error. Where does it come from? Here. So this one, oh yeah, we need to have a comma here. So that is registration